And we're live. And we're live. Yeah, I did that first time and you probably didn't see it, mainly because of the slow delay on the video. Hello and welcome to What the Football, back again with yet another video. And I was going to do one of these last week, but I decided not to, simply for the purpose of the fact that I don't want to be stressed out by talking about the Man United results. I know I've done this a little bit late this week, but we had a game on Monday. Yesterday, I was very busy and I would have done it earlier, but I've had to have a massive day's sleep because I feel absolutely knackered. But we are back and we're going to be talking about the Premier League and, of course, the title. Leeds and Manchester United a victory. Of course, I'm talking about Leeds United and Manchester United. A bit of a play on words. Manchester United somehow getting a result against Liverpool. We're going to, talk about the little nuances in a moment. Leeds United, a great start of the season. Also talk about Arsenal's excellent start to the campaign. Chelsea in complete disarray. Liverpool in disarray. City fortunate to get a result against Newcastle, or Newcastle fortunate to get a result against Manchester City. And sort of like talk about the other bits and bobs around it as well. But they're the real hot topics. No transfer news because I'll probably do that for a separate show. Let's start with, where do we start? We'll start with Manchester United against Liverpool, because why not? Absolutely incredible result for Manchester United. Obviously, as a United fan, absolutely delighted. Actually, I'll point out, first of all, I got an ulcer just right there, and it's absolutely killing me. So when I talk, so if I have a moment where I have to stop, that's the reason why. And because I need to breathe between words and sentences, because if I don't, I will die. But Manchester United, the result that they desperately needed, and it actually makes a mockery of the last 2 weeks, really. They didn't show the same hunger and appetite against Brighton when they should have done, although Bruno puts away that chance in the first 5 minutes. Who knows? I mean, this is the first game of the season where Manchester United actually scored the first goal as well, which means that, of course, when you get the first goal, you gain a little bit of momentum. And, of course, the last game against Brentford, David De Gea makes an absolute clanger. United lose 4-0, they completely capitulate. But it's no coincidence that Manchester United win the game, and Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw, who I think have both been doing their best impression of the Chuckle Brothers over the last 2 or 3 years, and doing a pretty good impression, actually. You actually believe that it is the Chuckle Brothers when you actually see them on the pitch half the time. And people are going to wonder, oh, wow, but it works for England. No, it doesn't work for England because England don't win anything. So there's your argument completely out the window. But when Malacia was very good, Martinez, I think, made a mockery of the people saying that he's not physical enough for the league. I think he's very physical. The only difference is, of course, the fact that the height issue is a problem. If Núñez had played, they probably would have targeted him a little bit more in the air. But you can only judge him on the way that he performed on the day, and I felt that he was very good on the day. Bruno Fernandes, I thought first half he was very good. Second half, he drove me absolutely insane with some of his petulance, his whining, moaning, diving to try and get a penalty when all he had to do was control the ball well in the first place, and he would have had a good shot on goal. But Marcus Rashford, I think, deserves a very special mention, and Anthony Martial, both players who have been criticised over the last 12 to 18 months for their performances and their inconsistency. I thought both players in the second half won Manchester United the game. I thought Martial, when he came on, was absolutely fantastic. I thought Marcus Rashford looked a little bit sharper. He's one of these players, Marcus Rashford, that always turns up against Liverpool when you need him to. I know he didn't turn up against Liverpool last year, but he's got 4 goals against Liverpool now in his Manchester United career. The lad's 25. He's a local lad. That'll do him a world of good. And I think overall, great victory for Manchester United. But, of course, the season really does start against Southampton. If they don't beat Southampton, then we're back to square one. On to Liverpool. Are they in crisis? I think you could argue they will be in crisis if they fail to beat Bournemouth for the weekend. They've got a big game against Bournemouth. The season really starts there for Liverpool. Can they still win the title? Yes, they could, because they could do the double on Manchester City. They're one of those teams that are more than capable of doing the double over Manchester City. So they could win both those games, and all of a sudden everything's rosy again in the land that is Merseyside. But about the lineup, Trent, I think there's a reason why Southgate doesn't play Trent. And I've said this a lot about Trent. I think Trent's a very good attacking fullback. But, sorry, God, I felt like a Southern American then. I think he's a very good attacking fullback. I think defensively, again, he's left wanting. I think Malacia and Alan get exposed. So I think if you've got a little bit of energy, a little bit of pace, a little bit of trickery, Trent has problems, as he's proved at Old Trafford time and time again. He did it in his first game, actually. He played really well against Manchester United. But I think the one when Rashford made a mockery of him, I think might have been the same week that he pocketed Leroy Sané. I can't remember, in the Champions League. I think Van Dijk, Virgil van Dijk. What has happened to Van Dijk? I don't think he's particularly been the same player since. A lot of people say the Champions League final. I'd say the Villarreal game. I think the Villarreal game, the 3-2 in the Champions League, I thought it was very dodgy in there. Very suspect. I think against Real Madrid, he was very suspect. Obviously, there's that meme of him lifting his leg up. And of course, on Monday, he was doing his best Liam Gallagher impression when Jadon Sancho scored that goal. But has this got anything to do with the injury that he had? Maybe so. I seem to remember Jaap Stam coming back from a serious injury for Manchester United, him being absolutely rock solid for 4 or 5 months. Then the next season, Michael Owen made a mockery of him, and Louis Saha did, and Alex Ferguson sold him. Now, Klopp's not going to sell Van Dijk, and Van Dijk is not going to go on a massive decline. He just might not be the player that he was 2 or 3 years ago, which is fine. The bloke's 31. He's still got an aura. I saw it on the Sharky Does Sports podcast. He's one of the only players in the world that sees a defender with his aura half the time, which is true. He has got a very striking aura as a centre-half. You just look at him, and such a like being a car and seeing a brick wall. You just stop. But yeah, I think there's a lot of work. There's a bit of a way for Van Dijk. It's the 3rd game now where he's been exposed, and I think Bournemouth at home. Sorry, we should see Van Dijk back to his normal self. But I think they've got Newcastle after that, haven't they? Newcastle home away. I can't remember. That's going to be a very difficult game for Liverpool. I think if they don't beat Bournemouth at the weekend and they go away to Newcastle, I seriously worry for Jurgen Klopp's team. Not on a personal level. Of course, I want Liverpool to lose, but what can you do? What can you do to do a retweet now? Because I need to do a retweet. That's the whole point of doing this. And also, Jurgen Klopp hasn't got the experience of winning titles after rebuilding a team. He's won titles building a team, but not rebuilding a team. So that'll be very, very interesting in the next couple of months to see how that unfolds. So yeah, Man United, brilliant. This should really start now. And Liverpool, they're not in disarray just yet. I think they'll be absolutely fine. I think Bournemouth at home at the weekend is the season starter. And I think Liverpool fans will be looking forward to maybe getting a couple of goals. I think that obviously they'll settle for a 1-0 victory, and why not? But I think Liverpool at the moment need to be a little bit careful, not complacent, and I think they'll be all right. I think a couple of wins under the belt, and I'm going off on one at the moment. I'm just using the time to retweet the fact that I'm live. On to the next game that I mentioned in regards to the title, Leeds v Chelsea. And I'll sort of talk about this alongside the Newcastle-Man City game, because Newcastle-Man City, a lot of people are saying that Newcastle are one of the teams that could break into the top 6, expense of Manchester United. After watching Chelsea at the weekend, who's to say Chelsea aren't going to fall out of the top 6? Manchester United could easily improve. Manchester United got a manager who's just joined the club, who's looking to improve the football club. Mirror image. And Thomas Tuchel is one of these managers where when it all goes wrong, it goes horribly wrong. And again, with Thomas Tuchel, a bit like Klopp, we've never seen it. The thing about Tuchel is he's coming to Chelsea. He's got the history of winning 1 league title in his career. That was at PSG, where you could literally give the job to David Blunkett and he'd literally be able to set up a tactics board and say Messi, Mbappe, Neymar, just do what you want. So I don't think, Poch won a league there, for Christ's sake. Unai Emery won a league there. They've been scrutinised for years, those managers. So, yes, I know Tuchel's won the European Cup, and fair play to him. He's won the European Cup, and with a side that I think, on paper, is good enough to win the European Cup. Bearing in mind that Lampard got sacked after 5 months with the same group of players because Lampard was underachieving because Chelsea were going to finish 5th or 6th. But Todd Bowley, I think his name is, who's obviously the new owner of Chelsea. he'll want to make a statement now. He's making a lot of statements at the moment in regards to the signings that he's making, very football manager signings. He wants Fafana, I think he wants Gordon now. He's bought Sterling already. He's bought Koulibaly. He's basically, like I said, he's basically playing football manager. It's cheat mode on football manager. It's cheat mode on FIFA without being very good at your job, basically, or being very good at FIFA, or being very good in the controls. So I think Todd Bowley could make a serious statement by, if it doesn't improve for Chelsea, sacking Thomas Tuchel, because it's basically like when Roman Abramovich signed Claudio Ranieri, who I know isn't really considered a Chelsea legend, but it was if a new manager comes up, or Poch is available, but like say if Zidane comes out and says I want the Chelsea job, that will immediately put pressure on Thomas Tuchel, and he'll need to win a few games. I don't think they're looking particularly great. I don't like the balance of the players they don't need. Buying Cucurella for £60 million when they desperately needed another centre-half or a striker. They need a striker desperately, or somebody who could be the figurehead up top. But they haven't got that player. They just haven't got the player. They're relying on Raheem Sterling, who, whilst is a very good player, I never had Sterling down as a player that, very much like Rashford, like a better version of Rashford. If he thinks about it, Sterling, he misses, where he relies a lot on instinct when the ball comes in the box. So I think with the signings that Chelsea have made or are making, it could be a bit of an alarming time for Chelsea. This could be a season where Chelsea, if they get Champions League football, that'll be deemed a success for them. I think, considering their expectations at the start of last season, when people thought the Lukaku signing will win the league, I think they've got to be a little bit modest about their aspirations. So I think for Chelsea, and by the way, Leeds United, absolute credit to Leeds United. I think Jesse Marsch, I had Leeds United to go down, I believe, my predictions. You might have to look back on some of my previous videos. But I just didn't see it coming. And you know what? They might have a bad spell. I remember Hull having a great start to the season a few years ago, and they completely capitulated. So Leeds are more than capable of capitulating defensively. They're not the greatest, but I think Jesse Marsch has set them up the right way. I think to replace Bielsa was a huge task, but I think he's done that really, really well. And Leeds, I've had the start of the season which they could have dreamt of. They've got 7 points out of 9. Had they have won against Southampton and that's the worry for Leeds for me. Like, they went away at Southampton, they were 2-0 up and they conceded 2 goals. But they've beaten Chelsea, who are considered a rival. Historically, Leeds and Chelsea are a rivalry. They're actually probably, in terms of like the duration of the rivalry, you look at Leeds and Chelsea, it's a rivalry that's been around longer than Man United and Liverpool. It all stems back from the 1970 Cup final when Leeds had like Norman Hunter and those players, Jack Charlton, Billy Bremner, and Chelsea had likes of Ron Harris. And basically the two toughest, hardest teams in the country coming up against each other in an FA Cup final. If you haven't seen like the highlights of that game, watch the highlights on YouTube after you've watched this video, because it makes for absolutely fantastic viewing, believe me. You think United Arsenal 2004 or Chelsea Spurs Battle of the Bridge was bad? You ain't seen nothing yet. So credit to Leeds. Chelsea in disarray, not quite yet, but like I said, people writing United off and completely forgetting about Chelsea. You know, Chelsea more than capable of having a complete and utter breakdown on the pitch. Let's not forget that. So Chelsea need to sort out their ideas thick and fast. On to other games now. Where do we go to? I mean, I just mentioned Newcastle, Manchester City. Great game. Didn't watch it, actually. I had a work event with my mate Bozza. Not literally with my mate Bozza. I think you know who that is if you know your recent, your satirical modern day news. But I did actually have a work event, so I missed the game, which is annoying because it was apparently an absolute belter. I've seen the goal. Trippier's goal was great. Was he lucky to stay on the pitch? Probably. I mean, it's a 2022 red card, but 10 years ago, it probably wasn't, or 20 years ago when I started watching football, it wasn't. So I'm not particularly that bothered about a tackle like that. I mean, if I was a Man City fan, I'd be angry, but if I was a Newcastle fan, I'd defend the player. But good point in the end for City, because I think that's going to be a really difficult place to go to, Newcastle. I think the fans are probably in the most buoyant mood they've been in probably since 2012 when they nearly got Champions League football, and probably since 2004 when like Bobby Robson was manager. So fair play to the Newcastle fans for backing the team as much as they have done the last few years. But I think St James's Park will be a fortress again this year, and I think this is why I'm in Liverpool in the next couple of weeks. If they go to St James's Park and in good form, that might be a problem. Who else? Top of the table, Arsenal. Of course, beat a relatively poor Bournemouth, who I thought were absolutely dreadful on the day. I've got the stats here. Arsenal, 59% possession, 14 shots, 6 goals. Bournemouth, 6 shots. 14 shots, 6 on target. Bournemouth, 6 shots, 1 on target. Pretty poor from Bournemouth. I don't think they were particularly... if I was a Bournemouth fan, I'd be a little bit worried about the performance. I don't think they offered particularly much in the game. I think when you look at that game, when newly promoted side comes to the Premier League, that's the kind of game where you look at Brentford last year, for example, they're basically in Arsenal's faces. I don't think Bournemouth did anything close to that. I'm rubbing my eye a lot today. I think the hay fever's on the verge of coming back, which is painfully annoying because it really doesn't look like hay fever weather outside, believe me. It really doesn't. It's damp, it's miserable, it's rainy, it's like Manchester. It's just a miserable day. But on the goals, Odegaard getting a few, Jesus looking sharp, Saliba's goal, an absolute belter. And by the way, that Saliba song, I quite like that song, actually. It's pretty good. Arsenal got Fulham at the weekend. That should be a comfortable 3 points for them. They'll be top of the table, I think, by the end of the weekend, absolutely. And then they've got Manchester United next week, which I'm really looking forward to, because I think if we beat Southampton, then I can see us potentially getting a result in that game, because I think the improvement in the squad potentially for United in regards to buying players, Casemiro coming in, maybe getting Anthony, maybe getting the lad from PSV. I think a victory against Southampton would probably boost United's chances and boost the morale. And I think for Arsenal, watch out, lads. Watch out. I think Arsenal will be very confident going to that. If they're top of the league, they'll be very, very confident going to that game. I'll run through the rest of the games quickly. Spurs beating Wolves 1-0, Harry Kane goal. Wolves were excellent in that first half, by the way. How the fuck Ruben Neves hasn't signed for a top 6 club, I have no idea. The guy is absolute quality. After Nottingham Forest, Damari Gray literally saving Frank Lampard's arse, really. Well, not literally, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, he's not that way inclined, and even if he was, it would not be an issue. A very interesting one, actually, at the King Power. Southampton beating Leicester City 2-1. Leicester in the absolute shit, aren't they? Have you noticed this? Like, Leicester are dreadful. This is a classic Brendan Rodgers. Like, he gets to his third full season. Brendan Rodgers is like Mourinho with better football and no trophies. That's the thing. Like, he is Mourinho and Poch amalgamated. A bottle job who does absolutely appallingly in his third full season. He did it at Liverpool. He's doing it at Leicester now, and I think he is literally weeks away from potentially getting the sack. I'm going to be turning it on to Brendan Rodgers and being replaced by someone like a Thomas Frank at Brentford, who lost 3-2 away at Fulham in a really good West London derby, which nobody apart from fans of those two clubs particularly care about. But great game, goal scorers. Mitrovic, of course, last-minute winner. Ivan Toney getting a goal as well. I think those are two players that the biggish clubs, and talking maybe like the Villas, the Evertons, Everton are a big club, might be looking at maybe if they need to buy a panic buy kind of striker. Palace Villa, another club that are Stevie G. His time of Villa's slipping, isn't it? Slipping again. I'm not a particularly big fan of. I think Gerrard's massively overhard. I think if Steven Gerrard, his football career was not that of a world-class midfielder and that of a League Two midfielder in the 2000s, I think Steven Gerrard's literally living off his name at the moment. Because he's got an aura about him, and he's probably better than everybody else in training, which I don't particularly think that helps a lot of. I don't particularly think that helps a lot of players when you go into training, and it apparently didn't help with Glenn Hoddle with England. You go into training and Glenn Hoddle's better than all of you. I think that maybe gives players the wrong ideas. Maybe the same with Frank Lampard as well at Everton. But there you go. West Ham also in a bit of trouble. David Moyes. Oh. I mean, as a United fan, I actually do quite like Moyes. I thought he was a bit unlucky at United. I think he's one of these managers that he is to football what Gordon Brown is to politics. Like, he kind of replaced the previous guy who maybe didn't intentionally leave it in a mess, but when he got the job, he was kind of the job was probably a little bit too big for him. I think at Sunderland he was unlucky as well. I think that job was a little bit. I think West Ham for David Moyes is the best. Like, that's his kind of level. It's like Brendan Rodgers. You give Brendan Rodgers a top six club, he fails. You give him a club looking to potentially break into the top six or be in that 6 to 10, 6 to 12 category. I think he does a good job. And I think Moyes is one of those. He did a great job at Everton. Has doing a pretty good job at West Ham until this season when they had to score a goal. The only club not to score a goal. They got battered by Brighton, who I'll get the stats. I'm a big, massive fan of Graham Potter. I think the guy is one of the best managers around. And I think he should be getting the hype that Gerrard gets and Lampard gets. Not really much in it in terms of possession, but from what I watched of the game, because it was one of the games that I actually watched at the weekend, I thought Brighton were pretty dominant in the game. I thought they were pretty comfortable. And there we go. That's all I've got to say about that, really. I'm going to go have my dinner. Thank you so much for watching this. If you did like the video, please like the video, of course. Subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing more of these over the next couple of weeks. The reason why I didn't do a video last week was blatantly obvious because I was embarrassed to. Hopefully I won't be embarrassed to do one at the weekend, and I hope United get a very comfortable victory against Southampton, and hopefully a few clubs in and around just drop a few points so we can gain a bit of momentum in the table. Of course they will. Of course, clubs of course will drop points because somebody's got to win and lose. But you look at Chelsea, you look at Liverpool, potentially both in disarray. I think Arsenal will eventually start falling off. I don't think their form will be as good as it has been for that long, and I hope United are the team to break that. You say Tottenham are going to be the team that are fighting City for the title this year. They've had a good start to the season. They got a great point against Chelsea, a bit lucky against Wolves, but we'll have to see. They've got world-class players. Probably more world-class players. Have they got more world-class players than Liverpool? Yeah, they have. Yeah, no, they haven't. They haven't. That's a debate, actually. That's a good debate. You have more world-class players, Liverpool or Tottenham? Because can you call Darwin Nunez world-class? Probably not. It is probably Liverpool because you look at Trent on his day. It's a debate for the ages. Thank you so much for watching the video. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, check me out on my socials. Just look for What the Football with the logo on. You'll find it. Have a great rest of the day. I'm going to now nurse this fucking ulcer that's absolutely driving me insane now. So have a great rest of the week. I'll see you perhaps next week.